Welcome to our pop-up studio at Media Digital Forum, and we're having our guest number 6 with us today.
Hi there.
Hi, please introduce yourself.
I'm Kim Jerbo at Create Group, working as an executive creative director.
So what's new in creativity then?
What's new? Well, I think what everyone is talking about, as if it's new, is the AI explosion, right? To me, I think it's been going for years and years and years, and I think the debate is really interesting, where people are talking about, oh, we can do this faster, we can do this cheaper, and I think pretty much everyone who talks like that are fundamentally wrong. They're looking at it the wrong way.
So does actually this amount of AI in the content creation, performance optimization space, does it actually does it raise the bar, or does it make things to work faster, meaning creating more commodity?
Well, I would like to maybe take a step back a little bit, and I think the way that you approach using AI, what is your overarching goal, needs to be really clear. For us at Create, the way that we look and the way that we apply AI is with the goal of making better quality work. So if we're talking about high-performing assets, if we're talking about high-performance platforms, etc., using it to elevate the standard of work and not trying to race to the bottom to do things cheaper and faster, because that is just a losing path to take.
So what part of creativity still needs a human touch in the age of AI? What's your take on that?
I think anyone that speaks about how to use AI with certainty is probably not actually using AI in their day-to-day, because if you actually use it every day, every week in a practical sense, you do realize that every project, every different task needs a different type of balance of how to use, what tools not to use, etc., and what you complement that with the human craft. And I think that's just something that you need to get used to: testing, learning, knowing what tools does improve the human craft, and which can complement it. I think it's always going to be basically a mix of both, right? Sometimes you want to have full control over, if we're talking camera movement for a video piece, for example, that might be something that you want to shoot by hand, so you have full control of that. But the actual scene can turn into fully AI, and variations of it and adaptations, etc. And in other times it might be the complete opposite, where shooting it is not on the table, but the artwork that you're animating can be handmade, for example. It can be a collaboration with an artist, etc. So it's just different ways that you need to use it, and there is not a one fit formula that goes across the board. Like, even my last 2 projects that we're working with AI has been polar opposites of the tools and the processes that we use. Some has been using it up front with the artist hand in the end, and then right now we're doing the complete opposite for another project. So, you gotta stay nimble and flexible, and on top of your game, and be all-knowing within the space, and not just dictate that this is the process that we're doing and then that's it. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's far more dynamic and fast-moving for that to be the case.
I think I always say, and there's a saying, that AI is only as valuable as the person who evaluates the outputs, right?
And the one that prompts it, starts it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So it's proportional to human intelligence.
Absolutely.
And that's been proven, actually.
Yeah.
That's great. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into the creative process that you've just mentioned, and probably explore. Do you believe in 100% AI generated content and being replacing what sort of now is an augmented process. Do you believe in that? Do you believe that AI will ever be able to, replace the human content?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what makes you believe in that, though?
It's just the track record of where we've been, where we're going. It's just a matter of time. So it's not a depressing sort of statement.
Not at all. It's just no. Honestly, it's just for me to explore, because there are still different opinions, and some people say I will never consume the AI generated content because it's clearly not something that I would I would want.
Yeah, the problem with a statement like that, I would never consume any AI generated content, is that person who says that probably has consumed AI generated content, didn't know about it, still appreciated it, and moved on. It's only when it's sloppy, it's only when it's done sort of out of touch or in a bad way, that's when you react to it, because then you realize, oh, this actually looks AI. But there's so much content that passes you by where you don't notice it, and so you don't associate it with AI. It kind of goes back to there was this old survivorship biases. It was an experiment that they did in World War II, I think, where planes that arrived back, and then they looked at the planes where the bullet holes was, and then they asked the engineers, like, okay, how do we build this plane in a safer, better way? And they're like, okay, we put extra sheet metal where all these bullets hit. But what they failed to realize is that that's where the plane could get hit without crashing. So all the planes that got back is actually the ones that survived. So you can actually shoot those planes there. Yeah. It's actually where there was no bullet holes. That's where you need to put extra powder. So in a similar kind of sense, we're letting a lot of things pass through, and then we only focus on there's been controversies around the Coca-Cola commercial and the McDonald's Christmas commercial, and those have been pulled. But that is because they look AI, right? But there's so much content out there right now, especially within the fashion world, that is indistinguishable, right?
Because there's so much potential in terms of what AI can generate beyond actually human mind and imagination, probably.
Yeah.
But again, it's about choosing the right thing that will resonate with a specific audience. I want to ask you what it takes to create an exceptional AI content then. What it takes a brand or an agency or a team or an army of teams, I don't know, to create an exceptional AI content.
I think for me, when I kick off any project that revolves around AI in production, it's really important to actually make time for some R&D. Like since the last couple of weeks, there's probably been some updates. There's new updates all the time. So you actually need to set aside time to play around with it and test things out before you dive into it. I think not over relying on AI is super, super important, right? We know it's like it can do anything, it can do this and that, but it can only do so much, so well. So it's all about playing within the limitations, where it is the strongest. And I think if you're used to getting these AI platform updates, especially the video models and photo models, you can see fantastic example content. But then if you try to push it a little bit further than that, then you start seeing that things are breaking, right? So it's just keeping it within the core functionality, really.
I absolutely agree with you. So first of all, it's the amount of tools that are coming into picture is enormous, right? The number of AI tools. Can you test them all? I don't think so. can you stay within the capability, the explored capability, and start producing something that is valuable already now and can be tested, can be integrated into the overall flow? I think this is the possibility, and that's what we can do as teams probably, and which makes me think there has to be one person in each team who's constantly testing the AI tools in whatever function. You tell me, what's your take on that?
I think everyone should have access to all the tools. It's not that expensive to give everyone access and sharing those accounts. That's our process for it. We give everyone access to pretty much all the accounts. And whenever there's a new one, we sign up for a month. We test it out. We test it on a previous project, what we did for a previous video or static assets or whatever we did, and we just apply it like, was this a better process? Did we get a better result? Okay, cool. This could be an interesting tool to use. So as much as, yes, you should probably have someone who is an absolute AI nerd and expert, I think it's the responsibility of everyone in an agency, especially a creative team, to continuously play around with it, and because the problem that I see is people who are following the AI news but never play around with it, and then all of a sudden they have to use it, and they're complete rookies, they're complete beginners. They barely know how the UI works. So just keeping and experimenting, setting aside a couple of minutes a day to just play around with something, burn some credits. Doesn't cost that much, but you're gonna learn so much more, and as a result, you're gonna be in the forefront instead of someone who's, when it's convenient to you, you're gonna try to catch up on a couple of years of AI involvement.
One of the popular claims, AI claims nowadays, is that AI is going to eliminate teams. Do you believe in that claim? And how do you think a creative team is going to look like in, let's say, 3 years from now?
Honestly, I don't know how it's going to look in 3 years. I think it's hard to predict a year and a half.
True.
To be honest.
I was planning to say 3 to 5, but then probably 3.
Yeah.
Less.
Anyone who says what the future will look like in 3 years with confidence, I would take them not very serious. In terms of replacing teams, I think it's you're evolving. What I always tell my creatives is that what you need to become as an art director, what you need to become is an exceptional tastemaker, right? You need to know why a composition looks good. You need to know what makes a good motion or a good color combination, etc., right? Because I think if you look at someone who doesn't have that artistic hand, artistic sense, when they generate something and they're super happy with it because it kind of looks professional, compare that with an art director who got a trained eye and a mind of what works and why it works. And they prompt it, they do the selection, they do the modifications on it. It's wildly different. Just because you can generate a photo or 1,000 photos doesn't mean that you can be at par with anyone in the creative industry, right? So that's what you need to do. You need to evolve your skills. You need to have a strong point of view. You need to know the basics of what makes good creative work.
So it's basically going back to the core. If you're in a creative and artistic space, then you need to know the composition, as you mentioned. If you are in a sort of narrative space, I mean,
exactly.
You need to know the basics.
Same rules apply, right? As a writer, what does good copy feel like? How does it flow? What makes it grabby, right? And that's how you actually review an output and tweak it and revise it and work on it, and not just leave it be, because then it is just AI.
Then it's brilliantly actually answers the very first question I asked you. So does it raise the bar, or does it make worse things work faster or something like that? I think that was the first question. So it actually raises the bar.
Absolutely. I think as any job really throughout history, you constantly need to learn, you constantly need to evolve. We're just doing that in a different way right now. And maybe slightly faster, slightly more disruptive, but you always have to learn. You need to, if you don't know how to teach yourself something or learn something constantly and evolve, I don't think in all of history you had a way to progress in any career, right? Like we go through different roles and we have to learn new skills. And as the industry evolves throughout the 1800s and 1900s and 20th century, you also need to evolve, right? So that's nothing new, really. I think we're seeing it slightly more faster, and therefore it feels scarier, but the fundamentals is the same.
That's true, and that is a great insight into what seemed to be like a small interview, but it's a very deep insight into it. I want to ask you something about the visual space trends.
Yes.
So where we are in the visual trend space when it comes to creativity, let's say, considering again the AI aspect involved, are we on the banners? Are we on YouTube? Are we on socials? Are we in the printed media? Where is the visual trend going into?
Where is the visual trend going into? I think in a long term, my colleague Yash talked about this on stage. I think because most of the content that we consume on a daily basis on social platforms, etc., it's not content that you or accounts that you actively follow, but things that you are interested in, right? I think that will evolve into just auto-generated versions of that. Right now, that's looking really bad because it's auto-generated, it doesn't have the artist hand, and it's immature, and it's early on, etc. But I can see that in a near future, maybe what you do is instead of opening up a TikTok, you're opening up an auto feed that is just auto-generating, stimulating content for you, whatever you are into. And as soon as your eyes is drifting off, it sort of tweaks this AI live stream, essentially. That is kind of the dystopian version of where we're going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, what do you want the digital media audience of MENA region stay with after listening to this conversation?
Stay hungry. Just get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid of testing things out. It's if you're not playing around, if you're not setting aside time to play around, mess around and find out, then you're immediately falling behind. And it's actually really fun to mess around and finding out. So it's not like it hurts.
That's true. Thank you so much. It's been pleasure, talking about AI and creativity and other stuff.
Thank you for having me.